Warning, this channel and its reviews were intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised. Spoilers ahead. Hello ladies and gents, my name is Imgi and welcome to Imgi Reviews, the show that's still figuring itself out. This week, we're taking a look at Ne Zha, an animated movie where a mischievous boy imbued with demonic power must fight against his fate to become the hero he wants to be, based on an actual character from Chinese mythology. I won't be recapping all the Ne Zha lore here, but the basics are that he's a deity of protection often associated with the lotus. He's also known for his youthful appearance, iconic weapons, causing mischief, and beefing with dragons and his own father. This movie takes the big meatball that is the Ne Zha mythology and runs with it, cleverly bending and weaving it into an original story with a lot of heart. Without further ado, let's take a look. Ne Zha. The movie opens and our narrator Taiyi Zenren introduces us to the Chaos Pearl, an entity that cultivated itself by feeding on both divine and demonic power. We then meet Taiyi and his peer Shengong Bao, who were sent by their master to quell this fiend. But they soon learn that it would be easier said than done. The pearl deals with Taiyi first, and when Shengong Bao attacks it with his electric whip sword, it absorbs the energy of the attack and sends it back. Taiyi gives it another go, but underestimates the power of the pearl and gets the crap punched out of him. Yuanshi Tianzun, Taiyi and Shengong Bao's master, shows up and traps the Chaos Pearl in a magic cauldron, separating it into its two natures, the Spirit Pearl and the Demon Pill. He reveals that the Demon Pill is essentially indestructible, so he places a curse on it that will destroy it in 3 years. Why not now? I guess 3 years is how long it takes to cast a spell that can break the unbreakable. As for the Spirit Pearl, it will be bestowed upon the unborn third son of Li Jing and Lady Yin. We'll meet them in a bit. Yuanshi places both orbs in the prismatic lotus and entrusts this task to Taiyi, and promises him a spot amongst his 12 golden immortals should he succeed and train the reincarnation of the Spirit Pearl. Shengong Bao is clearly envious. We then travel with Taiyi to Chentang Pass, and it becomes more and more confusing why Yuanshi entrusted such an important task to him. He crashes into a temple where we meet the aforementioned Li Jing and Lady Yin, who has been pregnant for 3 years at this point, which is accurate to the mythology. That evening, the people of Chenteng Pass gather outside the Li residence to celebrate the birth of the new child. And watching from afar, Shengong Bao releases 2 paper talismans. As Taiyi prepares to open the magic lotus, the Li family servant offers him some alcohol. Now Taiyi knows that now is not the time for drinking. He's got a job to do, a job that requires a sober mind that definitely won't drink that alcohol. So he drinks the alcohol and passes out. The servant, under Shengong Bao's control, drugged it so that he could steal the lotus. But as it turns out, only Taiyi can touch it, a precaution set by Master Yuanshi. A concerned Li Jing checks on Taiyi's progress with the spell, but the servant tells him that he's drunk and they've got to beat the alcohol out of him. Li Jing is initially opposed, but when the midwife informs him of Lady Yin's worsening condition, he punches Taiyi repeatedly and rapidly without hesitation until he pukes up the liquor. Taiyi then prepares to open the lotus, but realizes he forgot the password. Me too, Shengong Bao. Me too. Taiyi remembers he can just get it open with his fingerprint instead, and when it opens, the servant attempts to grab the orbs. Li Jing stops him and Taiyi removes the puppet talisman, freeing him from Shengong Bao's control. But didn't he release 2 talismans? Oh hey, there it is. The midwife pockets the Spirit Pearl to give to Shengong Bao and puts the Demon Pill in the magic pearl infuser circle thingy, directing the Demon Pill's energy into Lady Yin. Li Jing and Taiyi go to search for the puppeted midwife when a different midwife rushes out of the house to present what popped out of Lady Yin. That is an egg. No wonder she was having such a hard time in there. That is straight up an egg. I was talking to a friend a while back and she was like, oh, human reproduction would just be so much easier if we laid eggs. No, it would not! Unless we're like laying squishy eggs like snakes, but if we're talking chicken egg, you'd be squeezing out a watermelon-sized rock of calcium. That is a terrible idea. Anyway, I'm getting distracted. That's not even an egg. It's a ball of flesh, which is spot on with the mythology. Anyway. The meatball jumps out of the woman's arms and bounces around, running amok and bowling with these ladies and effeminate fellow, before taking human form as the band plays the main theme to Terminator. I'm actually ashamed I didn't catch that my first time watching. Ne Zha attacks his surroundings and Taiyi contains him with the Qian Kun hoop before advancing, trying to finish him off while he's in this weakened state. But Lady Yin jumps in to protect her child. And though Ne Zha bites her, she begs Taiyi not to hurt him. But the town is also concerned about letting a demon live in their midst. Li Jing explains that his son is a victim in this too and vows to raise Nezha properly. Tai Yi explains the curse placed on the demon pill, so Li Jing asks him to take him to Supreme Lord Yuanxi to have it undone. Meanwhile, in the Dragon Palace, deep beneath the ocean waves, Shen Gongbao delivers the Spirit Pearl to Ao Guang, the king of the dragons, who was annoyed with Shen Gongbao's stutter, asking him to just nod instead of choking out his words. But he's pleased with his results, so he spits out the egg containing his son, Ao Bing, and the Spirit Pearl is infused into him. Elsewhere, Tai Yi takes Li Jing to a place called the Void Portal to meet with the Supreme Lord, but Chang Sengyun, the cloud that carries the portal, tells him that Yuanxi can't be reached at this time. Li tells Chang of the curse, and Chang tells him outright that the curse can't be broken. Tai Yi consoles him, but tells him that since time passes faster there, they should probably head back. He's right, because back in Chanteng Pass, Nezha is now a boy. The power of the demon pill ages him quickly, so at most, Li was gone a couple months maybe. Anyway, Nezha is bored. And lonely. But Lady Yin has some time off from monster hunting and asks if he wants to kick the shuttlecock around. And though he plays it off all cool-like, he happily accepts. Lady Yin is no match for Nezha's strength and has to wear full armor to play with him, but she does so happily because it makes him happy. She's a good mom. Unfortunately, work comes a-calling and she has to go, which upsets Nezha. Lady Yin tells the boundary beasts, the beast responsible for the boundary in case you weren't sure, not to let Nezha out again, and each blames the other for a previous incident. But it's clear they're both the problem. When she leaves, Nezha distracts them, steals their staffs, and escapes the boundary, heading for town. As Nezha ominously counts to 10, the folks of Chenteng Pass, and this guy, freak out and start hiding. That's just wrong. Nezha gets to 10 and starts seeking folks out and causing a little mischief. I feel bad for him, but at the same time I can see why they don't let him out much. The local kids meet up to try to figure out a way to get rid of this menace. One of the boys in a pig mask runs in and suggests teaching him a lesson by luring him through a series of traps and into a mud pit. The other boys like the plan, but they decide to spice it up by adding sea urchins and peeing in it. The pig boy yanks off the mask, revealing that he's Ne Zha, which scares the boys into the obstacle course of traps and into the pissy pit. Ne Zha has a laugh, and the leader of the boys calls him a demon. Now, the word demon to him is like the word asshole is to Hancock, so he kicks a boulder that would have easily annihilated these boys if Tai Yi and Li Jing didn't show up to save them. Li has the boundary beast confine Ne Zha to his room as punishment for the day's escapades. And that night, he and Tai Yi break the news to Lady Yin that the spell is unbreakable. She regrets not spending enough time with Ne Zha and suggests they spend what time they have left traveling with him. But Tai Yi decides to become the kid's master and train him to be a hero. Li Jing approves, and so does Lady Yin, not wanting her son to be remembered as a demon. The next morning, Ne Zha hides, making the family servant and the boundary beast think he escaped. When they run to report it, Ne Zha saunters out of his room and encounters a floating scroll. He touches it and is sucked inside. He lands in a massive domain of mountains and rivers atop giant lily pads. Tai Yi's here too, and using his handy-dandy paintbrush, gives Ne Zha the grand tour where the studio takes the time to flex its visuals. I don't mind though, the animation goes hard. At the end of the tour, Tai Yi promises to teach Ne Zha the techniques of Kunlun if he calls him master, but Ne Zha isn't interested. Tai Yi uses this opportunity to show off the disguising spell, and that piques Ne Zha's interest. Tai Yi explains how to do it, and relaxes as Ne Zha tries it out, fairly confident it'll be a while before Ne Zha succeeds in casting this complex spell. Some time passes and Tai Yi wakes up to Lady Yin, who says she's come to check on Ne Zha. My, Lady Yin, what strange teeth you have. She asks where he is, and she and Tai Yi find him drowning in a pond. The fly in my soup. Me at age 8 pretending to be dead in the pool to see if anyone would notice. Me at 20 discovering why it's a bad idea to use a hairdryer in a bath. Tai Yi scoops Ne Zha up and performs CPR, but Ne Zha pops, revealing that he's a poisonous frog. And the real Ne Zha was Lady Yin. Poison makes Tai Yi swell up to the point where he can't move, but he promises to teach Ne Zha more magic if he gives him the antidote that he keeps in his pants, along with a treasure trove of other magic items. Ne Zha digs through them and finds the fire-tipped spear. Li Jing and Lady Yin rush into the scroll to put out Tai Yi, and Ne Zha gathers that this is just another attempt to imprison him, and he gets even angrier when his mother and Tai Yi suggest he be in the scroll training to fight for the people who persecuted him. We then get a flashback of littler Ne Zha trying to make a new friend, when this guy, again, screams that Ne Zha got out. The people get scared and the local kids start throwing food at him, calling him a demon, and to this day he resents them. At the rate he's magically aging, that incident was probably only 2 or 3 months ago. Which, to me, makes it worse. What can I say? His feelings are justified. Back in the present, Lee decides to tell Nezha the truth, that he's actually the reincarnation of the Spirit Pearl. Lies, but it makes Nezha feel better about being persecuted, and he's more willing to train now. Cut to 2 years later, and we see Nezha equipped with his fire-tipped spear and armillary sash, taking on a horde of skeleton monsters, causing considerable collateral damage while he's at it. Taiyi brushes away the simulation and has his flying pig run the replay to show Nezha where he went wrong. Lee tells Nezha to meditate and control his anger and asks Taiyi to take away his weapons. Nezha willingly gives them up and shoves them back into Taiyi's pants, but he only did so to nab the magic paintbrush, which he uses to leave the scroll to prove to his father and the world that he's ready. Oh no. Elsewhere, a sea yaksha splashes onto land in its water form and transforms into its true form to eat a dog. Nezha pops up out of nowhere, however, and demands he put it down. The yaksha laughs, but is promptly met with a headbutt to the gut before being kicked through a building. The terrified yaksha turns back into its water form and runs for its life as Nezha gives chase, destroying everything in his way. The yaksha hides among water-filled jars, and the village people arrive in time to see Nezha smash the jars and blast them with flames. Nezha sees the yaksha break away, and the chase continues into the woods, where the yaksha picks up a little girl, the younger sister of the kid leader of the We Hate Nezha club, who sees Nezha and thus thinks he took her. Nezha's about to blast a fireball, but doesn't, noticing the yaksha's passenger. The yaksha escapes to the beach, but before he can dive into the ocean, a mysterious stranger freezes the water, beats up the yaksha, and saves the girl. But Nezha throws a block of ice at the stranger and gives the girl back to the yaksha. He attacks the stranger and they appear pretty evenly matched. Nezha yoinks the hood off the stranger's head, revealing horns. The stranger tries to hide them, but Nezha's more interested in the fight. The yaksha notices an opportunity and spits bubbles into the surrounding area. Nezha notices and pops one, which turns his hand into stone. The yaksha taunts them and swallows the girl, but the stranger maneuvers his way through the bubbles and punches him in the gut, making him yak her up. But the girl is covered in yaksha spit, so she and almost all of the stranger are completely petrified. Nezha then chases after the yaksha as it spits more bubbles, and after realizing his petrified hand wasn't doing the best job at popping them, he picks up the stranger and swings him around to clear a path. Yeah, I'd be scared too, pal. After getting violently pummeled, the yaksha offers up the antidote, which Nezha didn't even think was an option. He just wanted to beat a dude with another dude. So the yaksha snorts his nasal mucus into a shell. It's snot. Snot's the cure. Nezha downs it and it fixes his arm, but he asks how the others will drink it without mouths. And that's when the yaksha tells him that he could have just applied it externally. We quickly cut to the Lee residence where Lady Yin notices the magic brush next to the scroll. Then we cut back to the beach where Nezha succeeds in restoring the stranger and the little girl. The yaksha tries to sneak away, but the stranger notices and warns him not to cause any trouble in the future. The stranger then thanks Nezha and promises to repay him. The little girl wanders over with the shuttlecock, and Nezha is thrilled that she isn't afraid of him. He starts to kick it around, the toy, not the child, and kicks it to the stranger, who kicks it back. For the first time, Nezha has someone he can play with without hurting. After playing for a bit, he gets a little emotional, covering it up by saying he's got eyes in his sand. The stranger offers a shell, saying that since they're friends now, he'll come to play again if he ever calls. He introduces himself as Ao Bing, who we know is the real incarnation of the Spirit Pearl, which would imply that he's also 3 years old. That is a child. Nezha introduces himself as a horde of villagers approaches. Ao Bing dips and the villagers accuse Nezha of kidnapping the girl. He tries to explain the yaksha, but no one believes him because, well, there's no monster. Angrily, Nezha tries to leave, but that boy from before, Acho, Gesundheit, calls him a demon, prompting him to attack. The village retaliates and Nezha fights back, nearly killing one of them, but his master and parents step in and stop him. As the people yell for Nezha to be locked up, Lee notices green mucus on his son's hand. Back in the Dragon Palace, Ao Bing reports his training progress and tells his father and Shen Gongbao that he made a new friend, Nezha. Shen Gongbao remarks that it's a small world that these two halves should meet up, and hold on a sec. Small world? You have your apprentice training near beaches of Chenteng Pass, and you somehow figured that he wouldn't run into another powerful being, his second half, that lives in Chenteng Pass? That doesn't make any sense, but you know what, I'll let it slide. Anyway, Ao Bing learns that Nezha is the demon pill, and they're destined to fight, but Ao Bing still doesn't want to hurt him. That's when Ao Guang decides to drop some family lore and tells Ao Bing of everything riding on the success of this plan. He tells them that long ago, Heaven asked the dragons to imprison demons beneath that very castle. They succeeded and crowned Ao Guang the Dragon King. But if Ao Guang or the other dragons were to leave, all the demons they captured would be released. Thus, the palace is their prison too. But if Ao Bing, a dragon with the divine power of the Spirit Pearl, could ascend, he could free the dragons from their prison. That's a lot of pressure to put on a 3-year-old. 3 days later, Nezha languishes in his room and his family tries to cheer him up. His mother says they're throwing a party for his 3rd birthday and all of Chenteng Pass will be there. Nezha perks up for a moment before remembering that everybody hates him. Lee references the sea yaksha and says that the misunderstanding has been rectified. It hasn't yet, but Lady Yin goes along with it. Eventually, Nezha grumpily says he'll attend the party. He's actually pretty excited, and when his folks leave, he gets to sketching a little something. Outside, Lady Yin says she wants to keep Nezha happy in his final days, but Tai Yi wonders how they'll get folks to show up to the party. Lee tells them that the sea yaksha was real, and he'll use the celebration to clear Nezha's name. Nezha rushes out to the beach and uses the shell to summon Ao Bing. Ao Bing appears, noticeably more serious to us, but not to Ne Zha, who invites him to his party because Ao Bing is his one and only friend. Ao Bing accepts, taking the map Ne Zha drew. But he was going to be there anyway because of the plan. Back at the Dragon Palace, Ao Bing and Shen Gongbao prepare to leave, but Ao Guang stops them. He and the other dragons remove their hardest scales to gift to Ao Bing as the impenetrable dragon scale armor, which Ao Bing is grateful for. And with the added physical weight of his new clothes comes the immense mental weight that is carrying the hopes and expectations of all dragonkind. Again, that's a lot of weight to carry for a 3-year-old. At Nezha's birthday celebration, the mood is dreary and the smiles are forced. Underground, the boundary beasts hold the sea yaksha waiting for the signal to go topside. And Nezha's in his room feeling cheerful as he tries on a cape. Shen Gongbao makes an appearance and, startled, Nezha attacks him, but stops when he says that he's Tai Yi's peer. He introduces himself but stutters, saying Shen Gong Gong, which is what Nezha calls him. It's also what I will occasionally call him because it's funny. So Shen Gong Gong sits our little fella down and tells him the truth about who he is. The real truth. The time comes for Nezha to make an appearance, and he looks pissed as he walks down from his room. His gaze does soften when he comes across the little girl from earlier, but when she's snatched away, that softness fades too. Tai Yi gifts Nezha the armillary sash and fire-tip spear, as well as his flying pig, which transforms into Nezha's wind and fire wheels. Lady Yin stifles back tears and tells Nezha she really wants to see him grow up, and Nezha looks at her like this. Call me cruel, but I really love this little teary-eyed face. It conveys so much. There's sadness, there's anger, there's resentment, but above all, there's hurt, and it's all stuffed in his little chubby cheeks. It's great. Li Jing gives Nezha the final gift, a protection charm, and with it he tells Nezha to never give up because he still has a long road ahead. Odd thing to say to someone who you know is about to die. And it's here that Nezha reveals that he knows everything now, and he blames his father for locking him in the scroll and waiting for him to die. Tai Yi tries to ease the tension, but that doesn't work. Nezha undoes the Qiankun hoop, releasing his full demonic power, accentuated by a sick musical motif that I can't play here because copyright. Oh wait, I have an idea. Come here, MuseScore. I'm gonna make professional music folk cringe. Well, there you go, close enough. The people panic and Nezha attacks, having lost control. Li and Tai Yi try to hold him back while Lady Yin and others search for the hoop. Meanwhile, on a hill overlooking the chaos, Shen Gongbao holds the hoop, and Ao Bing begs to go down there and save Nezha's parents to repay Nezha for saving his life. But Shen explains that he needs them to die in order to lie to the Supreme Lord Yuanxi. He goes on, revealing his personal reasons for enacting this plan, and how he believes he should be the 12th Golden Immortal, but believes he was unjustly persecuted for being a leopard spirit. He little kitty. But he lets Ao Bing go, knowing that if he's outed as a dragon, more than 4 people will have to die today. Just as Nezha is about to take out his father, Ao Bing blocks the blow, and now those two fight it out. Beautifully, if I might add. Ao Bing tosses the hoop to Tai Yi, who activates it. It chases Nezha around before sealing itself around his neck once more, causing him to fall unconscious and revert back to his kid form. He wakes up and angrily flies off, leaving his spear and sash behind. Ao Bing tries to leave too, but Li thanks him for saving them before yoinking Ao Bing's hood. Li sensed his spirit pearl aura and had grown suspicious of him. Now his suspicions are confirmed and the rest of Chenteng Pass sees it too. Ao Bing flies up to escape them, but Tai Yi shouts after him, promising to expose the crimes of the dragons. Shen Gongbao makes an appearance, and he confirms his involvement in this whole deal. He tells Ao Bing that now that things have progressed this far, there's only one thing he can do. Feeling the pressure that is the fate of his entire species, Ao Bing conjures the water surrounding Chenteng Pass above it, intending to freeze it and crush everyone beneath. Out in the forest, Nezha angrily punches a tree. As he cries to himself, his wind and fire wheels turn back into a pig that runs another replay, this time of when Li and Tai Yi were at the void portal. When they prepare to leave, Chang tells them that though the curse can't be broken, it can be transferred to another with the help of fate-swapping talismans. Two of them, one for the cursed and one for a relative willing to give their life for the cursed. Li asks Tai Yi not to tell anyone about this, not even Lady Yin. He says he'll guide Ne Zha to the right path before taking his place as the curse bearer. Chang asks who Ne Zha is, and Li says he's my son. Ne Zha looks inside his protection charm and finds one of the fate-swapping talismans, and he realizes that his father really did care about him. This whole scene was very sweet. Back in Chenteng Pass, Li and Yin attack Ao Bing, but they're unable to pierce his dragon scale armor. They try again, aiming for his head this time, but Ao Bing defends and freezes them. Just then, a meteor barrels for the Li residence, its heat melting Li and Yin out of their suspended states. Ne Zha's back, baby! Tai Yi takes a sec out of his fight with Shen Gonggong to fill him in on what's going on. Ne Zha gets the gist and attacks Ao Bing. Ne Zha's fire and Ao Bing's water clash, creating a thick fog-like steam that obscures everything. Ne Zha retreats into the fog, and Ao Bing sweeps an ice beam, hitting Shen Gongbao. He points out Ne Zha, and Ao Bing turns to look, but when he does, Shen stabs him in the impenetrable armor before running off. Yep, it's this trick again. Tai Yi tries and fails to catch Shen Gongbao in the Mountains and Rivers scroll and escapes into the fog. Shen runs into the fog after him and crashes into his Ne Zha doppelganger. Ne Zha swaps the appearances of their weapons just as Ao Bing shows up and attacks the Shen Gongbao with the fire-tipped spear. The other Shen joins in, and when they beat the real Shen into the ground, Ne Zha stabs Ao Bing again. That darn little trickster, he's done it again. A little distance away, Ne Zha, still disguised as Shen Gongbao, bumps into Tai Yi, who instantly traps him in the mountains and rivers. But that's when the real Shen Gongbao and Ao Bing show up. Ao Bing attacks, getting sucked into mountains and rivers. Shen grabs him and gets sucked in as well, but with his whip sword, he grabs Tai Yi and pulls him in too. In the scroll, Ne Zha reverts back to normal, and the masters and apprentices fight over the landscape brush to escape. They tumble down a waterfall and get tangled up and trapped in an ice ball. Ne Zha manages to pick the brush up with his foot, and chaos ensues as they zoom around the scroll uncontrollably as he tries to draw a portal out of there. But from outside, it just looks like pinball. Eventually, Ne Zha does draw a portal, the four land back in the Li estate, and the fight continues. Ao Bing breaks Ne Zha's parents' swords, 4 nickels, and Ne Zha takes a hit intended for them. And with him out of commission and Tai Yi tied up with Shen Gongbao, Ao Bing takes to the skies in his dragon form to bring down the ice. Ne Zha partially undoes the Qiankun hoop, placing it around his wrist so that he doesn't lose control again, but is still able to tap into his primordial power. There's that riff again. He shoots up into the air, lifting the ice, and Ao Bing slams into it again, telling him to give up and accept his fate. But Ne Zha says screw that, he decides his own fate. 2 more pairs of arms shoot out of his back, and he pushes the ice far above Chenteng Pass before enveloping it in a gigantic fire lotus, which melts it. Ao Bing gets wrapped up in the armillary sash, and Ne Zha rushes him, but stops just short of landing the final blow. They both revert back to their base forms, and Ao Bing asks why Ne Zha spared him. Ne Zha responds saying he's his only friend. As Ne Zha's doomsday clock ticks closer to 0, he tells Ao Bing to get out of there, but Ao Bing asks isn't Ne Zha worried that he'll just try again, and Ne Zha snaps at him telling him not to be a wuss. Ao Bing says his fate was sealed at birth, but Ne Zha tells him that if he doesn't like his fate, fight it until the end. Ne Zha descends to his parents and wraps them up with the armillary sash. He burns his fate-swapping talisman, telling his parents that he'll bear his own fate. He explains that his only regret in life was not being able to kick the shuttlecock with his father. He thanks them before the storm carries him away. A beam of lightning blasts Ne Zha, and Ao Bing flies into the beam with him and uses his dragon scale armor to block some of the blast before it shatters. Impenetrable, huh? From the ground, Shen Gongbao cuts his losses and dips. And back in the sky, Ne Zha calls Ao Bing a fool for sacrificing himself for no reason, and Ao Bing says of course he is, he's Ne Zha's friend after all. The two hold hands and in doing so unlock a new ability. Just like the Chaos Pearl at the beginning of the movie, Ne Zha and Ao Bing start absorbing the lightning of the heavenly tribulation. As the storm fires its final blow, they shoot the collected energy back at it, but it isn't enough to stop it. On the ground, Tai Yi, and one of the few times we see him serious, is surprised that they've held on for this long, and decides to jump in with the prismatic lotus. At the end of the storm, Ne Zha's parents dig through the rubble, and Lady Yin finds the lotus. It opens, revealing Ne Zha and Ao Bing inside. Tai Yi tells them that while they're technically dead, the lotus kept their souls intact. The folks of Chenteng Pass gather around the crater caused by the storm and respectfully kneel to Ne Zha. Tai Yi returns to being our narrator, and the movie ends with him saying that though he doesn't know if it's possible to escape fate, he knows it's Ne Zha's fate to defy his. That's oxymoronic. Though the movie ends, there are some mid-credit and post-credit scenes. The Yaksha and the Boundary Beast are still underground waiting for the signal, but they come to realize that they don't even know what the signal is. And in the Dragon Palace, Shen Gongbao relays what happened, and Ao Guang vows to make Chenteng Pass pay in blood. Ao Guang's siblings rise up from the lava, having been imprisoned there with the demons, and Ao Run offers to make a deal, alluding to a sequel. A very successful sequel that, in my opinion, manages to blow the original out of the water. That's a review for another day, though. Let's go through my thoughts on this one. Starting with the likes, I mentioned it before, but the animation was phenomenal. Not only were all the water, fire, smoke, and ice physics incredibly well done, but the designs of the weapons and the characters were great too. I mean, look at Nezha's adult form. I think that design is fire, pun very much intended. And I'm watching it move with all the other characters and beautifully choreographed fights. It's just super fun to watch. And all of that, of course, was accentuated by the stunning soundtrack. The voice acting was incredible too. I watched the sub version, the original in Mandarin, and there were some line deliveries that you could feel the cast put their entire souls into. The movie also had its funny moments. Granted, not all of the jokes landed with me, more on that later, but the movie did a fairly good job at balancing out its comedy with the rest of the story. Not perfectly, but pretty good. And speaking of story, that was ridiculously well done. I loved how it very clearly was inspired by the original mythology without being an exact one-to-one copy of it. For example, in the mythology, Ne Zha is known for causing trouble, be it accidentally or on purpose in a few specific instances, and the movie makes his troublemaking an integral part of his character, not only justifying it with the nature of the demon pill, which is an original addition not tied to the mythology at all, but having the people's rejection of Ne Zha and his resentment toward them be his motivation for misbehaving. Also in the mythos, Ne Zha kills Ao Bing. In the movie, he has that chance but refuses. Again in the mythos, Ne Zha dies but revives later. In the movie, he dies, technically, but is brought back for a sequel. And lastly, a huge part of the mythology is Ne Zha's beef with his father. That's incorporated into the movie as well, with Ne Zha blaming his father for imprisoning him before attacking him in his adult form. I honestly think it's clever how the movie took that aspect of the mythos and had the story and Ne Zha's character development tie into the tension between the father and son, and the eventual rekindling of their relationship. They'd better have those two kick the shuttlecock around eventually. Speaking of father-son relationships, Ao Guang and Ao Bing. I won't say much here because their relationship is explored much more in the sequel, but I will say that I like how they sorta paralleled Li and Ne Zha. Li wanted Ne Zha to find his own path, and Ao Guang laid out a path for Ao Bing without giving him any choice in the matter, or even considering how he felt. Overall, I think the movie was solid, dang near perfect. But just because I give it that praise doesn't mean I don't have gripes. I do. And they look like this guy. Words cannot describe how much I hate this man. Actually, they could, but I just started this YouTube thing and I ain't trying to get kicked off the platform so soon. Point is, I find him insufferable. He is one of the jokes that landed once and never again. And that's not to say I hated every instance of callback or repeated joke. For instance, there was an old guy, and the joke around him was that he couldn't see and never faced the right direction when talking to someone. I thought he was fine, because I could somewhat take him seriously. Like when the ice was collapsing on Chenteng Pass and the old man fell to his knees in defeat because it was something that he could see. I liked that. I actually felt it added to the weight of this dire situation because the funny guy stopped being funny. Let's look at Tai. He was an idiot. A lovable idiot, but an idiot nonetheless. He was constantly screwing up and having jokes made out of him, but when he locked in, you could see his good heart through his actions and why the Supreme Lord Yuanshi trusted him with protecting the pearls in the first place. This guy, however, served zero purpose, but he just kept coming back. He's a flat character, so he isn't deep or anything, I get that, and I probably wouldn't have minded if he just stayed in the background, but he freaking doesn't. Whenever we're in Chenteng Pass, he's there. Whenever there's danger, he's there. Wherever there's a moment, a story-relevant moment that I'd like to take seriously, he's there to ruin the moment and snap me out of it. His presence weakens any tension this movie builds, and I despise him for it. If I were to change anything about this film, it would be to get rid of him. But despite my unfathomable disdain for this one character, I can't recommend this movie enough. I mean, what else can I say? This movie has intense action, awe-inspiring moments, and a lot of heart. Even if you're unfamiliar with the mythology, I still think you'll enjoy the many things this movie offers. And if you are familiar, I know for certain you'll enjoy this movie's take on Ne Zha. The box art did him dirty, though. With all that said, I'll definitely be taking a look at Ne Zha 2 on the channel. And don't worry, it won't take me 6 years.